Welcome to The Shoreline, brought to you by Shores and Islands, Ohio, where finding your Lake Erie love is a sure thing. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Jill Bauer, PR Manager for Shores and Islands, Ohio. We bring you The Shoreline every week to give you the inside scoop on what's happening here in our island and coastal communities. Happy December! I hope everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving weekend and hopefully got a good start on your holiday shopping. In fact, today is Cyber Monday, so maybe you're listening to us while you're doing your holiday shopping. If so, don't forget that you can support many local businesses online as well. Check out the shopping tab at shoresandislands.com. Here you'll find several sub-tabs, including Lake Erie Love Gear. So if you're looking to share a little Lake Erie love this season, this is a great place online to purchase some of this merchandise. While there are several local boutiques that carry those items here, I do know that Sweetums Signatures is the company that creates the merchandise that we sell in our two welcome centers, and they have an even greater online offering. So just like our welcome center, 10% of these online purchases is also donated to the Lake Erie Foundation, so you can feel good about shopping this holiday season as well. Another thought to consider when shopping online is to consider non-retail gifts, such as memberships, gift cards, services, and more. I know a lot of our local businesses are running specials this week. For example, I saw that online gift cards at Spa Catawba are 20% off. There are 25% off e-gift cards for Common Ground canopy tours, and African Safari Wildlife Park has up to $100 off on their 2026 season passes. So don't miss your chance to save and give the gift of Shores and Islands this holiday. A real quick shout out to a huge number of events that are going on in the region this week as well. If you're looking to get out and explore or visit us and see what Shores and Islands, Ohio holidays are all about, some of the bigger things happening this weekend include Lakeside Christmas, Downtown Fremont's Holiday Parade, the Mulberry Creek Herb Farm Christkindl Market, Oak Harbor's Old Fashioned Christmas event, Perkins Township's Winterfest, and Port Clinton's Community Christmas, plus the Gideon, Owen, and Sandusky Christmas Markets and several holiday light displays. You can find the details on these awesome events and others on our online calendar at shoresandislands.com. This episode of The Shoreline, as well as all of December's episodes, are brought to you by the Sandusky Christmas Market, where community, creativity, and holiday spirit come alive. Join us downtown this holiday season for festive shopping, local food, live entertainment, and plenty of holiday cheer. Learn more at sanduskychristmasmarket.com. So we're going to shift gears a little bit this week and delve back into the nonprofit world and talk about one of our beloved local libraries. Libraries are not only an invaluable resource for communities, but they are a hub of activity and a great place to find all-season opportunities for the whole family. Joining us today as our special guest is William Rutger, the new Executive Director at the Sandusky Library. Born and raised in Castalia, William Rutger grew up at Back to the Wild, the nonprofit founded by his parents. A lifelong public servant, he has worked in both academic and public libraries. In 2025, he returned home to Sandusky Library as Executive Director, bringing with him more than 25 years of experience in library leadership and community engagement. Welcome to The Shoreline, William.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, that's great. Okay, I got to do it. Before we delve into your library position and learn a little bit more about the library, I just have to ask about your childhood. What was it like growing up at a wildlife rehabilitation center? Did you have like bald eagles as pets?
They're never pets. I will be very quick to put my mother's hat on and say, wildlife is not pets. So no, we did not have pets, but I did get the opportunity to be raised around an assortment of native wildlife. I tell the tale often. I remember getting off the bus one day and the property that Back to Wild is on is off the road. So there's a little bit of a walk down the driveway, and it was, I believe, around springtime. And that's the time they often see a lot of baby bunnies. At the time, they were accepting deer. That's not the case anymore. There were peacocks, actually, that not native, but they were there at the time, too. So I was walking down the driveway past deer and some bunnies, and there were some peacocks walking around. around, and it felt very Disney-esque, I think.
I was just going to say, are you a Disney princess?
But no, you know what? So desensitized to it. I apologize to everybody that loves the animals and stands in awe, and I enjoy sharing that with people. It is always very entertaining for me to bring friends and colleagues and whoever might be interested to bring them back to the wild and have the staff who are phenomenal show them everything that they do and to see the wonder in folks' eyes. But I have grown up with it, so it's just one of those, like, it's every day. Eagles especially, the number of people I come across that just understandably are in awe of a bald eagle. But when you see them, when you come to visit, and even my children, we joke, have now been raised. I've got an 18, 16, and 13-year-olds. And even there's a certain desensitized nature to it. It's like, oh yeah, that's what the grandparents do. It's like that. Oh, when you come out to see your grandparents, you don't walk by a bunch of eagles or owls or bobcats. So it was an incredible experience. The animals, yeah, it was always a wonderful thing to see. I also have many stories when the organization was first starting in its infancy, because a lot of people don't realize it's actually out of their home. Their home's on the property. So before the facilities that are there now, it used to be just pretty much out of the house and a barn. So I, as a 16-year-old, would occasionally answer the door and be given a box of miscellaneous, animals to say, hey, can you take care of this if they weren't home too? So yes, it was definitely an experience that I treasure. And I learned a lot. I continue to learn a lot. But yeah, that actually was, it played a part in becoming the public servant I am today, too, to see my mother's dedication in particular to a cause that was bigger than herself. Aww. And seeing the community need and meeting that need, but also having the passion behind it. So yeah, definitely some Disney princess elements, but
To the Wild still going strong over in Castalia, and if you're local and you're listening, great place to support. And if you do happen to come across any wildlife that is injured, now you know who to connect with is Back to the Wild in Castalia, and maybe you can have a Disney princess moment as well.
No promises.
Yeah, of course. William, you're stepping into your new role at the Sandusky Library at a really exciting time for Sandusky, but I also heard that the Sandusky Library was your first job. So what did you do there originally, and what drew you back to the position that you're in now?
This is true. I started my career in libraries as a 16-year-old. That was a page. That is a position we have in libraries where they're the folks that put away the books, put away the material. I'm an SMCC graduate, and at the time I was at school, and at lunchtime I remember talking to a classmate of mine, and somehow the topic of employment came up because we were 16-year-olds and we're trying to figure out, we got to do something. We're getting some pressure from the parents, and he was working here, and he mentioned it, and I never even thought about, working in a library. I was one of these people that understandably was like, oh, they're not all volunteers, or, you can do that. It's like, all right. And then applied. They were gracious enough to hire me. And so I started at 16, put away those books, eventually worked my way up a little bit to the front desk where I was able to check out the books as well. Had an incredible experience here. I tell people all the time, including even my children, having the opportunity to work in an environment, not only the nature of the library, what we were doing, working with the community, seeing all of that, but working with a group of people that I had at that time, a mixture of adults and, some teenagers like myself, really created a positive work experience for me to see what it could be like or what it should be like. It set the tone where, I wasn't working a job where it was a bunch of, kids working together and causing problems or complaining. You saw different levels of profession because, again, a professional librarians, a lot of folks that work here, they went to school for this profession. And just to see that environment, again, was very formative, made wonderful friendships, lots of colleagues. Went off to college myself, never really got away from libraries. During my college years, ended up working in academic libraries because I had the experience from working here from the public library. And then the opportunity came, Berlin Library District. They were looking for a director, and it was an opportunity to return home. And so I came back for that opportunity. That was the first time I was able to be a director. From there, I went to Ashland Ashland for a little bit, also in public libraries at their library. Then for the last 8 years, I've been at Avon Lake Public Library. I was at Avon Lake Public Library. And I had always told myself if the opportunity presented itself to return home and to give back to this library and this community that gave so much to me, I would at least throw my hat in. To my surprise, my predecessor, Molly Carver, retired and earlier than I thought. And I was like, I thought I was going to have a few more years before Molly was going to leave, but a well-deserved retirement. And when I saw that, I thought, well, I got to, do what I said and at least throw my hat in. I loved my time at Avon Lake, but coming back here specifically to this library, to this community was the driving force because, like I said, it was a way for me to not only return home, but give back and be a part of a continuing legacy that the library's been a part of in this community and the communities we serve. So it was really, again, something that I just couldn't pass up. It's been an incredible few weeks, again, reconnecting with not only the staff here, there's a handful of staff members that were here when I was here. So that's been wonderful.
Oh, that's lovely.
To come into an environment, to already have a lot of familiar faces, and we have a lot of new faces. Just these last couple of weeks, I've been meeting with everybody individually and getting to know everybody. It's also been a wild ride to be out in the community. I'm making the rounds and kind of doing some listening sessions, learning about how people see the library, how people use the library. But it's just been cracking me up because now I'm an old man and I'm not alone. So a lot of people that I knew as, in high school and being younger are also in positions within the community. So, it's just cracks me up when we sit down and talk about, you're coming in to talk about one thing and it leads to other conversations. I'll give a shout out to Chief Oliver, who graduated with my sister from SMCC. So when we had our official meeting to, discuss library business and just, do the official greet, when we learned that, we ended up just talking about our years at St. Mary's and some, fun points too. So it's been unique. This is the first time, again, I've served in this role in a community that I grew up at. And so it adds a special touch. The transformation that Sandusky and the surrounding area has undergone in these last few years is just phenomenal. And that I wanted to be a part of too. And I want the library to continue to be a part of that and grow within that. And so that too was just, even in a professional capacity outside of this personal connection I have, looking at what's happening here in Sandusky, downtown in particular, and with the library position where it's at, it's like, hey, this is a great time to be at this library to see what happens in this next decade and then beyond too. So all that factored into it, and here I am.
That's awesome. Well, I want to talk about just kind of like not just the Sandusky Library, but libraries in general, since you've been in that capacity in several different communities. How do you see the library, the public library, fitting in as a community destination and not just books? Let's talk about that a little bit. How else do you see libraries as being the hub of the community?
It's interesting because a lot of times, and understandably, people immediately think of libraries and books. And we are books. We have books.
And we love books.
And we love books. And it is. Everybody should love books. And everybody should read. And reading, just even the literacy component to it too, people read differently. They don't always just read off books. So it's important to, one, tell people, hey, you read online, you read in other capacities. But libraries are at a higher level. I mean, when you step back, it's just not the books, it's the information. It's connecting people to knowledge and information. And the reason libraries have and will continue to survive and play that vital role in the community is because information and knowledge takes different shapes as societies evolve. And the library is always there to connect you to that and to provide that. And so we have the books and you come for the books, but we also have the expertise with our staff. So if you need help with digital elements, we get a lot of people that come into the library that need technology assistance, not just the hardware, but navigating an online world where for whatever reason, and there's a lot of reasons, it's just not necessarily always an age thing, which people will say, my parents don't know how to use this. But technology changes and the internet changes and online stuff changes. And where do you go for that help? Where do you go for that knowledge? Where do you go for that access? And the public libraries are positioned and have a history of being on the forefront of understanding that and making it accessible to the public in a way that not everybody has. So that's one role. We have been and continue to be a community meeting space. In every community, when there's a library, it is a welcoming space that people can come together for their own meetings, for our programming, for events, for forums. Just during this past election cycle, we hosted a number of political forums with candidates that folks could come in and learn from. We also are a space when it comes to a quiet space often to study or to relax or to get away. Libraries see, including ours, a lot of folks that might be, have a small business, but not a lot of meeting room space or even any space for their own to come to the library and use that as a place to do their work or take a small meeting. So that component is also huge with us. A connection. The libraries offer that connection to the community. We see this. I like to showcase our story times. A lot of people hear about libraries, and if you have children or
great for children's activities.
The story times are great for not only an activity, but it teaches fundamental literacy, not only to the children, but it also those caregivers. We give you those skills to be able to carry that through at home. But something people don't always realize is the folks that come to story times, because often they repeat, they come, as the kids grow, it's that activity. It builds relationships with oftentimes caregivers and parents that might otherwise feel isolated, especially new parents. And at the story times, you'll hear many times that friendships have been fostered during, their story time moms or story time dads, that it's like, oh, we were there every week. And
that next thing you know, they're going out for coffee afterwards.
Exactly, too. So yeah, it's about being a community destination for whatever your needs might be. And those needs change and evolve and are unique. Libraries, again, are no one size fits all as far as, everybody just comes for books. No, you come to the library for a number of things. We see here in particular, and a lot of libraries too, going back to even the technology, we have a lot of folks that come here for internet access because it's assumed by many that everyone has a smartphone, everybody can get online, can do stuff. Well, that's not, first of all, true. But even if you have access, you might not have the means to, again, navigate through that. We help a lot of folks that have to send attachments or print off something or do more than just view something online, but actually interact with it. And they come here both for our Wi-Fi, our public computers, but again, staff to have that assistance and the expertise to say, hey, can you help me send this attachment because I'm trying to apply for a job, or I need help communicating or sending pictures to the family. There's a lot of things that people take for granted that you might be comfortable doing, but you have to ask yourself, if you couldn't do it, where would you go for that? And it's a library.
Who would have thought?
Mm-hmm.
You talk a lot about the community partnerships as well and being a hub for the community. How are you in your new role looking to collaborate outside of the library with, maybe with some other local businesses or with local events? How do you see that playing out for the library?
We're positioned very fortunate because, as you said at the beginning of the show, so much is happening in this community and the surrounding communities that it's really an opportunity for the library to reach out to those groups, those organizations, and say, hey, you are providing, be it a resource or an activity, how can we help support that? How can we be a part of it? I've already talked to my staff. I said the Witches Walk is a perfect example that takes place, is very popular here in Sandusky, and I think there's an opportunity for the library to help promote that in a way that also helps the library. And we've discussed, hey, what programming and what kind of displays that we can do here in the library leading up to that event, showcasing and tied into that whole, the witches theme and the Halloween theme. And that's just something small, but I've worked in libraries where we can take a seed of something that might happen in the community and say, what can we grow around that? What can we do to enhance that it's our way to support what's happening out in the community, but it's also an opportunity for people to come into the library and take advantage of, be it our programs, our material, our space. So I'm eager to continue to learn what's happening and make connections with a variety of partners. And we're really opening the door to folks to reach out to us. So if there is something that's taking place or you're trying to work on an initiative, especially nonprofits or other entities that, are trying to get information out, I go back and say the library is that source of information at its core, and us being able to connect people to that. So we like to position ourselves as a place where if you're in here, you can learn about what's going on. And
does the Sandusky Library operate, or what is the relationship with the library on Kelly's Island? Because I think it's a branch. Is that how that works?
Yes. And thank you for bringing that up. A lot of people don't realize that in addition to our main location here in Sandusky, we operate the Kelly's Island branch, and it is a beautiful branch that is actually connected to the Kelly's Island School. We have a wonderful amount of volunteers that operate the branch throughout the year. And your library card here is good over there. If you're over at Kelly's Island, feel free to drop by and check out a book, check out their resources. And we're looking to actually do more with the island branch and the residents to connect them here to the mainland and also bring some of the island over here, vice versa. We're looking at doing hybrid programming where they can be a part of what's happening maybe here, a program that's offered here in the library. We're actually in the process right now of updating our programming room with new AV technology to enhance the capability of not only hybrid programs, but recorded programs for our stuff, but also opening again that to the community. So if you're an organization or a group that would like to do a program, but record it, we're going to be able to provide you that meeting space that you can, rent a room from us and be able to do that. But the Kelly's Island, it's unique. We're only one of 2 libraries in the state that have an island branch. The other is in Port Clinton. The Ida Rupp's Library, has a branch over there, and it's a wonderful component to the library. And part of that, too, I will just quickly say, some people don't realize, in addition to having our branch, the Sandusky Library is also part of the Cleveland Consortium. That is a network of libraries, including all the libraries here in Erie County, but it goes all the way to Fremont and then all the way up to Ashtabula County. And even in Wayne County, all of those libraries share a system where your library card at one gives you access to the catalogs of all of those libraries. So oftentimes, if you're looking for something that we might not have here physically in the building, we can order that from one of those other participating libraries. But you can also go to, especially in Erie County, I like to emphasize it that our Sandusky Library card, you could go to Huron, you can go to Milan, you can go to Vermilion, you can go to Bellevue and check out without getting a brand new card. Your card is good at any one of those, and you can return material too at any of those locations, and it gets back to the home library.
I had forgotten that. I actually did.
And Norwalk too. Yeah, Norwalk too. Yeah.
I remember I had borrowed something at the Sandusky branch, and I remember learning, that I could drop it off at Milan and just being like, oh, wow, that's super convenient. So thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah, and it's a way to share our resources too. So it's a good return on investment as far as when people support their local libraries through operating levies. Like we're finding ways to make those dollars work for our entire communities.
Well, another part of this community, of course, is the thousands of visitors that we get to the area every year. A lot of those being, Sandusky and Kelly's Island, two, majorly visited areas. What kind of resources or programs do you guys offer that might be kind of tourist friendly? Something that maybe somebody visiting the area wouldn't have thought of, but can utilize the library for?
One of the things with our library, and again, people don't always realize it, but the Follett House Museum is actually part of the library. It's just down the street from us.
Another great partnership, yeah.
Yes. And it's a great destination when you talk about tourism, because if you're coming into the area and you're interested in learning the history of Sandusky, interested in learning the history of Erie County, and you want a good experience, the Follett House is a great place to stop. It's not only free, but it is multiple floors that gives you a good overview and snapshot of just the history of, again, the area with the artifacts and the information. So we always encourage people, especially if you're new to the area and if you want to know more about that, stop by the Follett House, which will be celebrating our 50th anniversary next year.
Oh,
so there'll be some additional programming. And thank you. That's 50 years of library's operation and ownership of the Follett House. It was actually built in 1902, but in 76, it became part of the library's family. So we're excited to celebrate that, and we'll be doing a variety of additional programming in addition to the space being open for visits. Something small, but again, going back to the technology, a lot of times you see not only here, but other libraries, if you're visiting from out of town and you need a place to just kind of get away, especially if weather turns. We know, we all live in Sandusky. We live in Erie County. We live in Ohio. Right. You never know what you're going to face. The library can be a nice destination where, hey, we were planning to do one thing, but, we got rained out. Where can we go? And we have a beautiful facility. We get a lot of people who just will come to visit for the history of the building and just to see it. But once you're in it, again, we have a wonderful children's space. We have unbelievable archives. This is something else a lot of people don't realize, but if you have not been in the lower level of the library, we have a remarkable archive space, which again tells the history of Sandusky, Erie County, and you can come and do a variety of things. Not only do your research, genealogy, houses, a lot of people do research on their homes, but we have a digital space where you can digitize old pictures, film, all of that. We have the technology and the means to do that, and we have the staff that can also assist with it too. But yeah, as a tourist coming in, you might also need just to check your email. You might just need a place to come to, browse. I like to also say, if you're a tourist in Ohio, you can get a library card at any of the public libraries in the state of Ohio if you're a resident. You don't have to be a local resident.
Just from Ohio.
Just from Ohio, and that's because the libraries in our state receive funding at the state level in addition to local support. But because we all receive state funding, a portion of funding comes from the state, you are then entitled as a resident to a library card at any of those 251 libraries throughout the state. So we always tell people, hey, collect those. And you might not want to check something out because you might have to come back for that. But our digital collections, if you are somebody who loves reading online, if that's your go-to, it's convenient. Audiobooks. Collect those library cards because you might be able to get a copy or a different title with a different card if you go onto their system. So I'm always somebody that's like, hey, if you love those audiobooks and you're waiting for your current copy through your current library, get another library card out with a different system, and it opens up another access point to a collection too. And it helps all the libraries because we love when you use your library no matter where you're coming from.
That's a great tip. Absolutely. You mentioned just kind of briefly the history of the building, that sometimes people just come into the library because it has just like a beautiful architecture and it has some great history to it. What do you know? I mean, I know you've only been there a short time, but being from the area, what do you know about the history of that building and why is it so interesting? Why do people come in just to look around?
I can tell you that it's over 130 years old. That alone makes it unique. It's a Carnegie library. And when some people might hear that term, Andrew Carnegie, back in his day, part of his philanthropic activities, he gave seed money to communities to start their own libraries. And it was essentially kind of a matching grant sort of thing where he would provide a certain amount of money if the community would do something equal or match it in order for a library to be established in this community. We are one of those Carnegie libraries. And that just means that it was because of him, he brought that initial amount of capital to it too. You also, architecturally, a lot of Carnegie libraries you'll see will have clay roofs. So those familiar with our library, the original library, that red clay roof, that is a unique feature that brings a lot of people in. Just if you're an architecture geek and you like to geek out on those things, I would always tell my children we were going to the Castle Library because it just has that facade. And I've learned now, a lot of people also share that too. So if you're somebody that geeks out on architecture and masonry work, people have come just to see it and just how beautifully it was done. They did a remarkable job with it. I like to point out to people, a lot of our interior walls were the former exterior walls of both buildings. So just to be able to get up to that, to see that, to see the space with it is, like I said, sometimes people will just stop by just to see that, even tourists, to be able to say, hey, what's that all about? That looks, again, that castle is interesting. Let's see what's about there.
Well, that's very cool. But, another reason to get people to come in and to check that stuff out are the programs and the events that you guys do host at the library. So let's talk about some of the upcoming events that you guys are planning, maybe for the winter months, the months ahead. Like, do you happen, just a guess, do you do more things during school breaks for the kids, or do you have holiday type events that are coming up that you maybe want to talk about?
Yeah, we have a few things. One of the things I will say, and this is unique just for this year, but it's happening in December, we're calling it Director on Desk. I will be working the various service desks through the month of December at various times, just as an opportunity, one, to learn. Director on Desk is an opportunity for me to work along with my staff, but also be visible and greet the community, hopefully reconnect with some of our patrons that were patrons or have been patrons and continue to be patrons from my earlier years. That's also been a fun little side adventure, is coming across people who might have known me when I was 16 or 17 and to see me in this capacity. It's always fun to see that.
I bet that's fun.
It is. And actually, it's truly rewarding to see that they're still patrons, that they still love their library, they use the library. That is just a rewarding thing. It's a good thing about working in libraries. We're an institution, a space that people visit over and over again, generational use. You see people growing up.
Especially when they start young. When you bring kids in for the youth programming and those story times and those things like that, that instills in those children that that's the community hub, that's the place to go. And then they continue to use your services.
Exactly. And then they grow up and they bring their kids. And just to see that is, you work in a library long enough. And we have, I will say in a quick side note, you want to talk about history. We have a number of staff that have over 30 years of service here at the library. So to have folks like that who have seen people grow up, come back, all of that is remarkable. Anyways, the Director on Desk, we're looking forward to doing that next month. So if you come in, you might be able to see me. If not, always ask for me. I'm eager and excited to meet our community members. So, but being on desk is a good way to see how things are going on the front lines.
I love that.
We also have, for our kids, we do a New Year's at noon on December 31st. That's coming back.
I didn't know about that. That is something that I love to promote at New Year's, because those of us that have been through it with small kids, they're not staying up till midnight.
No. And our incredible children's staff have some fun things planned for this year, so they're gearing up for that. So yes, look for that December 31st at noon. One of the things we are doing in December is celebrating Jane Austen. It's her 250th birthday, and so we have a book discussion and another event, a 2-day kind of event, just celebrating Jane Austen. So if that is your jam, come to the library and talk about the sharp wit, charm, all of that, and her enduring impact on, the literary world too.
I love that about books and different, just that there is a fandom for everything, so you're right. There's people out there listening that are like, oh, Jane Austen really is my jam.
There you go. And pivoting a little bit, I will say we're also doing, it's called Wrap Your Brain Around AI, how they help with AI. So again, this ties nicely how I said the library is a place for information and access. So, if you are interested in learning a little bit more about AI and you need some holiday help, we're the place to come. And I wanted to highlight, this is something else that I don't think everybody realizes, but it's an important thing to put out in the community, both so people can take advantage of it, but for those who don't realize this is a need, but we provide after-school snacks. It's a partnership with the Children's Hunger Alliance. We have been doing that for years. We continue to do that when school is not in session. So you can come by the library and get those additional snacks. It is a need that, like I said, not everybody realizes, but the library is a place, if you are in need, to come, and we do provide that throughout the year, including when, school is not in session as well.
That's very important. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really nice to know. So I know you've only been there, would you say 8 weeks?
About 8 weeks, yeah.
But I'm sure you came in with some visions and some hopes and dreams for the future. So are there any initiatives or, even new programming or anything like that you are hoping to implement in 2026?
Yes. One of the things we are taking a look at our children's department. Again, I've got a phenomenal staff. We've got some new faces in the children's department, and they've got some wonderful ideas, and we are looking to modify that space, expand our programming. We also want to do more outreach in general, but targeted outreach to Perkins and Margaretta Township. Those are part of our service area along with Sandusky and Kelly's Island. So making sure that we're out in those communities and meeting those needs. The other thing that we want to do is continue to expand our adult programming. That's been wonderful. It's something that we did, I want to just quickly highlight to kind of show when we talk about outreach and meeting people where they're at, not everybody can come into the library. So making sure we're out there showcasing what we have and making that connection. I want to do a big shout out to my staff because this year they went to the Veterans Home and signed up veterans for library cards, showed them how to use our digital material, and then we're working to do some programming at the home. And that's the first time that we've done that. And yes, and that's just a wonderful thing. I said this is the first library that I've worked at that has a veterans home in our community. And so we're looking again at ways to partner and be out there and come to you. How can we help? How can the library help other people and not necessarily assume that you're going to help us, but we want to make sure that we're helping where we can. So things along those lines. I think that little effort right there with the Veterans Home is a great blueprint going into 2026, because how can we do things like that in the communities that we serve with the partners that are there? And we look forward to getting creative with that.
Well, William, we're so happy to have you back in the Sandusky area. Just on a personal note, what do you love about living and working in the Shores and Islands region? What do you love about the area?
I will say, growing up, this is kind of like with the Eagles. I took for granted being younger. I took for granted, the lake and just the resources that we have around here. As I've gotten older, I've appreciated it and maybe seeing it through a different lens, having my own kids and being able to know we have the shores and islands. We have all of these resources. We have a community. We have communities that are very supportive of, each other and growing an opportunity. And so seeing it and saying, hey, this is great. This is a good place to be, is just one of the things that just makes it comfortable. And I'm an advocate for folks, and seeing the growth and the transformation, as somebody who again has grown up here, to see those changes. I tell people all the time, you should have seen it just even 10 years ago. And it's wild to me in an exciting way, because looking towards the future, just as a resident, but now in a position to be a part of that and to be that agent of change and also support it, enhances that even more.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I've, personally learned a lot about libraries and about the resources that are available at the Sandusky Library today. Is there anything else that you wanted to make sure that you mentioned about the library or the Follett House or anything coming up?
In January, we're going to have our winter reading program. It's a passive program, but it keeps you active and reading. This is primarily for adults, but it's a way just to get you out of that mindset of the cold, dreary snow. We are launching a teen volunteer program. This is something new for 12 to 17-year-olds. So if you have a 12 to 17-year-old, or if you are a 12 to 17-year-old and you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, keep an eye on our website or stop by to learn more about that. We're going to be celebrating Toni Morrison in February with some activities on Toni Morrison Day. We're also working with a variety of partners, including you guys at Shores and Islands, to celebrate America's 250th. So we'll be doing related programming around that. We have coming next year, early next year, a few beach classes. That is a popular Back by Demand program. And then quick with our services, we talked about the meeting rooms, study rooms that we have, our archives, our tech support. Two special things, too, that we have at the library people might not realize. We have a toy lending library. So if you have youngins and you don't want to constantly buy stuff and keep it in your house, come stop by the library. And then books by mail. This is a great service if you have mobility issues that prevent you from maybe getting into the library, but we still want to make sure that you have access to material that isn't always digital, because people will say, and I'm one of those, sometimes you don't want to just read on a screen. You want something physical.
You like to turn pages.
Yes, exactly. But our books by mail service gets you that material at home, because not everybody, again, can come here. We want you to come here if you can, but we also know that sometimes that's not what works for you. So we want to make sure that we're covering all of our bases and make sure that we meet the needs of our community.
In so many ways that you guys are finding to be valuable, within the community. So I love that. Where can our listeners go to find all of the information, your events calendar, everything that's going on at the Sandusky Library? SanduskyLib.org. That is our website. From there, you can see our calendar, you can see our services, you can rent rooms, and just keep a tab on everything that's happening with us too. And we also have our Facebook page as well too, that you can get some up-to-date information and see some fun stuff on that as well. And is that just Sandusky Library on Facebook? Correct. That's our Facebook, just Sandusky Library. Perfect. Great place to go to follow what's happening with the Sandusky Library. And we look forward to following your progress and seeing all the great things that you do there in your new role. So thank you for joining us today, William. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And like I said, anybody listening, feel free to stop by the library and ask for me. I would love to meet you and hear how you use the library, what you think about the library, too. We want to be responsive to our community, and that's the best way to do it. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for joining us on the Shoreline today. That was William Rutger of the Sandusky Library, and a reminder that all of December's episodes of The Shoreline are brought to you by the Sandusky Christmas Market, so extra special thanks to them for their continued support. Get out and shop at the market. Enjoy the holiday spirit in downtown Sandusky this weekend. As always, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a minute of the action here in Shores and Islands, Ohio. You can also find more information, including past episodes, online at shoresandislands.com. And we will see you next time on The Shoreline.